So, Justin, in the year 2025, Logan Paul versus Lionel Messi. What a move. So basically, if you don't know, Logan Paul's prime is suing Moss Plus. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, Moss Plus, claiming Lionel Messi did not create the sports drink. So the Food Dive, this is from Food Dive, the quick hits are influencer Logan Paul's Prime Hydration is suing sports drink competitor Moss Plus by Messi for allegedly making misleading statements about professional athlete Lionel Messi's involvement in the product's creation and development. Attorneys for Prime say that Moss Plus falsely claims in its marketing materials and on its website that Messi is a founder for the brand and was involved in the creation of the beverage. Prime also claims Moss Plus used the success of the influencer founded brand as a roadmap or blueprint to create a competing hydration beverage offering. The narrative that Messi founded the brand is meant to increase sales and is at the detriment of Prime, the complaint states. So if you look, I looked into this a little bit. So it appears that Messi Mas Plus sues Prime back in 2024. They basically filed a lawsuit. They sought a declaratory judgment that their Mas Plus branding, packaging, and design do not infringe on Prime's intellectual property and accused Prime of anti-competitive behavior. They argue that design elements are commonplace in the beverage industry and not uniquely owned by Prime. Prime then countersued them. They claimed that the design was in fact infringing on Prime's trade dress and trademarks, and that consumers are being or could be confused between the two brands. So basically, Prime is arguing that certain visual elements of Moss Plus packaging are too similar to Prime's, that they're causing consumer confusion and unfair competition, while Moss Plus is arguing that the design elements are functional or common in the beverage space. There's no likelihood of confusion, and that Prime is acting anti-competitively. Why this matters is if Prime succeeds, basically Moss Plus has to rework its packaging, name, or even branding. A legal win for Prime could reinforce its claims to look and feel in the sports drink space, giving them potential leverage for other rivals. It could influence how tightly courts protect bottle designs and labels, color schemes, and crowded consumer good industries. And if Prime is awarded damages or disgorgement of profits, it could hurt Moss Plus financially or require paying licensing fees or penalties. I'll be honest, first look, Moss Plus looks exactly like Prime. And I'm not here to defend Logan Paul or Prime. I don't drink either beverage. I drink Gatorade, and that's about it. But it looks very similar, and it does kind of seem like they went in and just kind of took on this trend. And I remember distinctly when I saw this drink, I was like, oh, Lionel Messi is doing the Logan Paul thing. So I don't know how it plays out. I don't know the legality of it. I just thought it was a funny kind of end of story, kind of in line with what you're going to share. Your thoughts on Lionel Messi versus Logan Paul for the best sports drink, or most likely sports drink to be seen by consumers?
I thought the same thing. I went into a grocery store and I saw the Moss Plus bottle on the shelf, and I was like, "Is this like they translated it? Like, what is happening when they're putting like the bottle shape looks the same, the way that the
Mm-hmm.
text is arranged on the bottle, and it's like for those that don't know, it's like it's vertically oriented, and so it's like it reads like a book spine as opposed to like a horizontal way that you're gonna look at things. And you look at a couple of other comparisons, like Coke is in a can and Pepsi's in a can. And like the way that they end up trying to stand out and quote unquote like compete with each other is Coke is red and Pepsi is blue. And like even Pepsi has like a little bit of red in the logo. Like, is that something that they're going to quote unquote sue over? Like, I can only imagine the fights that these like lawyers are getting into with stories like this. In my mind, this is just like a total faceplant from the Messi team. Like, this is like you're always going to be quote unquote second best to especially an influencer like Logan Paul, who is so good at being loud and so good at like plastering the logo everywhere, getting the bottles in stores all over the place so that it's just like very like on the end caps of the grocery stores that you're shopping in. And you're gonna quote unquote be second best. Like there's a couple of other examples of that, whether we're talking about media, whether we're talking about food, whether we're talking about art, that is like if you're going to try to imitate, you're always going to be quote unquote second best to the person who did it first. And I think that there's like that's a losing strategy. And I think like in this world of fast fashion being a thing where, you know, XYZ brand has this apparel item that is like just being worn by everybody, the way that manufacturing and supply chain works, you can have that on the shelf of your e-commerce company in the next month or so. And so like you're kind of like silly if you don't ride the trend, so to speak. But again, to not totally like, it's related to exactly what you're talking about. And that was kind of my last story. I'm glad that you kind of brought this up. There's a person I follow on X named Connor Fowler, and he is kind of like a brand person. He does, like more personal brand things for people. But because of this, he's like really observant of the creator economy and the way that all of these things have kind of been monetized. And so somebody made a post. We will put it on screen now. And Connor reacted to this post and gave some really, really insightful thoughts. And so I'm going to educate myself on a little bit of Gen Z stuff. Ray, you can tell me if this has been on your radar or if some of this vernacular is just like, we're getting old. But it's a 2x2 matrix, which of course, for those of people that have not been following my content forever, I love 2x2 matrices. I think it's a really, really cool way to kind of like visualize things and kind of get an understanding of the landscape of things, make decisions. And so on one axis, the north to south axis is JIT and UNC, for those that don't know. JIT is like the young people, the cool kids, the people who like have taste, and they're the ones who are like setting the trends and like making brands change the way that they're doing things. UNC is like, as it sounds, uncle. It's like the old, crotchety person who, like Ray, gets the Chicago Tribune once a week in physical form delivered to his door. And then on the other axis, on the x-axis, is goated on one side, which is like the best, like everybody loves this. This is like, there is no better version of this. And then the other one is chopped, which I didn't know, actually, personally, is the opposite of goated. And so what this person has done is kind of like mapped these CPG brands in these four quadrants of like, you can be JIT and goated, you can be goated and UNC, you can be chopped and UNC, or you can be JIT and chopped. And for a hilarious way that this has played out, Prime is in JIT and chopped. So it is like, it's super hip with the young people, but like, it sucks, dude. Like, this is not like a good quality product. Other ones that are JIT and chopped is Crumble Cookies, Mr. Beast's Lunchly, David Protein Bars, and then, you can look at the graphic again. We're going to put it on screen. I do want to cover like what's hot with young people and goated is Poppy Soda, Zin, Chomped Meat Sticks, and Grillo's Pickles. And then just for sake of covering the other one, goated and UNC. You can have to look on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube if you want to see the other one. Goated and UNC is Diet Coke, White Monster, Nerds Gummy Clusters, which Ray and I have also sung our praises of on this show, and Flamin' Hot Cheetos is goated and UNC, which I think is hilarious. So Connor, who again is like, he has worked with a lot of really, really big creators. He's very opinionated on the creator economy. He goes, I've been wanting to find a way to talk about these things, and this graphic has finally given me an excuse to do so. And he talks about these really interesting kind of like almost like rapid market cycles that we've seen with some of these creator brands, where he says these brands have no sticking power because personal brands ebb and flow. You can't be king of content multiple years in a row. People move on and algorithms get bored of you. Lunchly, Prime, etc. all benefited from having a massive initial distribution network, but this was also their downfall, with hype cycles adding to its pain. They are permanently bound to their creator, using brand loyalty from their audience to boost the launch. But this loyalty isn't earned, it's siphoned. It doesn't have any sticking power when things get tough. It's like receiving a spam call and at first going, maybe I did sign up for something, only to realize after a few minutes you didn't and someone sold your data. And he goes on to some of the downsides of some of these businesses, saying when the creator does something wrong, quote unquote, every product brand they have receives the same judgment, kicking them further out of favor. And again, when some of these creators are like so big, and it's like they almost thrive on the edge of controversy, where they want to be inflammatory. They want to have like the really controversial people on their podcast. They want to kind of like do the next big stunt that's going to get them a bunch of views so that they get clipped and then they go viral. It's like everything is on this foundation of like, if one block crumbles, like all of these things that are stacked on top of it go. And Colin and Samir have done some content on this and like all of these interesting breakdowns of like, we have never had the ability to do distribution in this way anymore. And it kind of like comes at odds of some of these other trends we're seeing of like, it's really hard for Mr. Beast to take on a sponsorship because it's so expensive to get exposure to 100 million people that are going to watch his next video. And so all of this is just really, really interesting. And he does, Connor, whose post we will link in the show notes, he actually says, instead of capital and time to build a brand which can stand on its own 2 feet, brand story, messaging, identity, that use those things that work without being held up by a personal brand. And then once at scale, use organic and creator content to push it even higher. You need to be able to walk away from it knowing the business will still run. If you have to post content on your personal brand account to sell product, you will lose in the long run. And so all of this is like it's kind of tied in with, Logan Paul did this. It kind of had this splashy thing. Lionel Messi, like again, big, huge, like tons of followers. Like people look at him as like the greatest of all time, and like they will buy anything that he produces. And again, it's like even though pardon the pun, even though all the ingredients are there, it doesn't maybe necessarily make for success. And so I thought all of that was just really interesting.
Definitely. No, I don't have much to add. I was very confused at the words in the graphic, and I'm younger than you by a couple of years, so it shows how far behind I am in the times.
Oof,